Good, um, good evening to you in Asia and those of you. Good morning to those of you in Europe and US. Of course, if you all know, 30 years ago, Toy Story was released today on 22nd um, and November 1995. If you all know that story, okay, let me just ah this this ah Toy Story. Yeah, Toy Story came out on November 22nd, 1995. If I'm correct, and it was the first came out. Yep, if I'm correct, I got to look here. 1995. I just wait. Um, Not sure about ah Pixar. Today is so I go back to the early days of Pixar because this was the correct is came out 1995, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, sorry, and it was the first computer first computer as not CGI, first computer generated animation in 1995. Okay, so I go back to here, the early days of Pixar. If you can see in this book here, that's the logo of the Pixar logo. Okay, sorry. Okay, just showed you was in 1995. Okay, we know that Pixar and Disney were two separate companies, and why did Walt Disney Future Animation and Pixar Animation Studios collaborated together to do Toy Story. Of course, here who are the people? It's then edited and directed by John Lasseter, and of course, if you see here, the people who Pixar like some of the names are not here, but you can see this. The names are this guy here, the late Bud Lucky, who sketched a concept of this one here. We can just hold on. See. You right over. See. This guy. This is sketch of Woody and Buzz Lightyear. Okay. If you all know, from the early days of it was an animation studio. It was actually an animation studio who that was founded by none other than Steve Jobs, late Steve Jobs. Of course, they did. And also in the movie, I might tell you who are the cast for Toy Story. There is Tom Tom Hanks and Tom Hanks and Tim Allen. Tom Hanks, you know, he was a popular actor that time with movies like Forrest Gump, the 80s, like Forrest Gump, and all latest stories like 90s. We know after this in 80s, he did his movie was called Saving Private Ryan. Then you know Tim Allen did the Santa Claus movies for Disney, and he had one of his most popular series that is was Home Improvement. I don't forget that, but of course, if you know, there is a certain thing I want to mention here. A certain thing that Toy Story became famous for doing one of their most famous Easter eggs is A113. You can see from like this version here, but I think like the logo here it came up few times here. You see Pixar's this one right here. Ah, most of the things like what does the number A113 means in that you remember. Okay, A113 is actually the rooms. See, if I read here, what is a an A113? What is A113 all about? 113. A. Okay, if you go back, it's the room that the Pixar animators stayed in Caltech. By the way, this not the not I'm not talking about that this one's when they were their college years in Caltech. Thing Okay, back to where I was. Toy Story revolutionized the animation industry because it came out in 1995, and it was the first computer this one. Okay, if you know, I just want to tell you, there's one very particular voice that became famous. It was in the series in a very popular sitcom in the 80s called Cheers. He was Ham, you know, he was famous for in the Cheers as a postman. Okay, his name is none other than John Ratzenberger. You remember him? He's the one who played because the series then. Okay, if you ask me, Toy Story is the one who started not sitcoms, but it's the launch Pixar into the big screen. Because we know that Pixar was during the time was making short films, and this was the start. And Pixar became a part of the Disney franchise for later. But this was, I might say, happy 30th anniversary to none other than Toy Story, and congratulations if those who have watched. Yeah, I would like to watch it again, but it's a very great animated movie. It was one of the best, and it was the first 3D, not 3D, first, and let's say it was the first 3D movie, yeah, 3D animated movie that time. So yeah, that's about it, and I will see you again very soon. Bye.